So there are some times when we know that we have a bias, and what we choose to do with that is up to us, right? But I know I had a bad experience once, and I'll never do that again. Much of our bias is unconscious or implicit, meaning we don't know it. We're not actively activating our bias, but we've been socialized here in the US for the most part. This is a very Western American presentation and approach to understanding disability. So it's like osmosis, right? We've been conditioned to think this way about disability. So sometimes we don't even know that we're operationalizing bias, yet we are. So some information about implicit bias. It's the automatic association people make between groups of people. So again, automatic. I'm not choosing it, I just know that I like this type of person and I don't like that type of person. I gravitate toward or I gravitate against. I'm not thinking about it. It occurs from normal cognitive processes within all people. It affects our assessment of others, and again, it can be unconscious or without intent. Research shows that implicit bias pervasively influences what we expect from people, how we evaluate them, and how we treat them. So you can see that there are both personal and professional implications to understanding bias. Some of us are in formal roles where we must evaluate others. I'm faculty. I must evaluate students because that's the system, right? I have to give a grade. And I have to work really hard at thinking about, well, who gets the A, right? How do I gauge engagement or participation? Who am I calling on? Who am I making time for? Right? I appreciate that I've been biased, lots of different categories, and I try to unpack it. It's kind of our life's work, I would say. But we're always making assessments about people, even when we're not grading them, right? I like them, I don't like them. She's stupid, he's athletic, right? I mean, I just did it, right? So I'm making these snap judgment calls, and it's important for me to appreciate that that is one potential truth, but we've been socialized with messaging, so I tend to gravitate toward what's consistent with that messaging, again, those social norms. Have folks ever taken Project Implicit, the Harvard Project Implicit Bias Test? I see a few nods. This is a really interesting practice. I would say for over a decade, Harvard has been collecting data on bias. And so this is all online. And basically you choose a category of people and they give you an online test. So they give you the category. So again, that could be white people, people of color, disabled, non-disabled, right? And then they give you positive or negative associations. And they measure how quickly you associate the positive with the dominant, and then they flip it, and they measure how hard it is for you then to flip that and associate the positive with the subordinated. So after all of these years of collecting data, what Harvard has found is that the majority of people prefer white people over people of color, prefer non-disabled people over disabled people, prefer young folks over old folks, have significantly more negative attitudes toward gay and lesbian people than they express consciously. So I believe that they also measure how you think you're going to do on the test. And so that factors into their analysis. So this is something that doesn't take long, and there are lots of different ways that you can engage with this test, lots of different groups. So that's something, if you're interested in kind of seeing where you're at with your kind of connection to your own bias, this is a good tool. So how does this show up for disability? I have here just some prevalent stereotypes about disability. And so let this slide, I'm going to read it aloud, but let this slide kind of inform the rest of our conversation today. So we've laid the groundwork, we've talked about the historical oppression of disabled people, and we've connected disability into our larger conversation on social justice. So now let's start to unpack some stereotypes about disabled people. So the negative stereotypes about disabled people are that they're tragic, they're pitiful, they're scary, disability is scary, disabled people are lazy, they're liars, when they're angry, disabled people have a chip on their shoulder, right? And if this sounds harsh, just sit with it a sec, but think about scary, right? Like, well, what happened to you? That's weird, right? Again, I don't want that to happen to me. I want to protect myself from that. can I overhelp you, right? Because I think you're